Hi, I'm Maureen Sier and I'm a member of the Baha'i community of Scotland, and I also work for the Scottish Interfaith Council. You've asked me to say something about my views of celebration as a Baha'i, and I've been pondering this question, not for very long I have to say, but I've been pondering this question, particularly today coming here and to actually say something. And so I thought I would talk about two or three things, if that's okay. One, I think one of the main things that Baha'is celebrate on a regular basis is community life. Baha'is love coming together as a community, and every 19 days we have something called a 19-day feast, and we celebrate being Baha'is together. We share a devotional program, we talk about community events, and then we have food together. And I see that as a really wonderful binding thing for community, to have that on a regular basis, every 19 days. We're celebrating what it means to be a Baha'i and what it means to have community. So that's one aspect, the kind of community aspect of being a Baha'i. And then there's I suppose if you like, the religious aspect of celebration, which most communities have, where we celebrate the life of the founder of our faith, Baha'u'llah. For example, we'd celebrate his birth, we'd celebrate his declaration, and we have the usual kind of things like parties and prayers and community gatherings and family gatherings for those celebrations, and they're really, really important. I see them important for family life, for the individual and their nurturing in their faith. They're also really important, again, for community building. When communities have a common focus, they're coming to celebrate something really meaningful to them, then that's really important. But now I want to talk about something that I've been pondering recently. This year I actually lost my mum. She passed away in March. And I've heard people say in the past that, funerals are very often a celebration of someone's life. And I've always thought, that's really hard, Here you are, somebody's died and you're at their funeral, but you're celebrating. But I have to say, we were obviously very grieved, the whole family were just in grief because my mum was such a wonderful woman. But there was something really celebratory about her funeral in a way that I wasn't expecting. She was such a humble woman, and she wouldn't have expected the tons of people who came to her funeral to be there. Her children and her grandchildren, her friends, her work acquaintances, all of those were there. And it was really a celebration of her life. And that made me think, what is it that Baha'u'llah says about life and death, And he says that death is a messenger of joy. And again, that's something I've always puzzled and thought, death, a messenger of joy, And I suppose it's that sense that this is part of an eternal journey, and what's to come next is really worth celebrating. But also what you've lived right here is worth celebrating, even though this part of your journey has come to an end. And death may not be a messenger of joy for those left behind. I still miss my mum and I'm still really grieving for her. But the sense that there's a joyful release and a celebration of life and death as one continuum. And someone else once said to me, my sister and I were in bits, we've always burst into tears thinking about mum and remembering all sorts of joyful things about our life with mum. And somebody said, you should really and truly celebrate the fact that you're in grief. I was thinking, what? Seems like a bit of a daft thing to say, and then they said, because the depth of your grief demonstrates the amount of love that you were shown by your mum. The fact that you miss her so much means there was something there to be missed, and it means you had a good mum and that you had a really good life together, so that you're grieving for that was lost. And I thought about it, and interestingly enough, I had a friend from America over probably about 2 or 3 weeks after my mum passed away, and she was over for a holiday, and her mum died while we were here, and she didn't shed a tear, and I was really worried about this, and eventually spoke to her about it, and she said, I'm finding it hard to feel grief because I wasn't close to my mum. And then immediately I understood what they were saying about when you feel grief at the loss of something, celebrate it, And so when Baha'u'llah says death is a messenger of joy, I think there's so many different layers of that. And so as a Baha'i, although I suppose everyone anticipates that they're going to die at some stage, I'm beginning to get a sense that actually maybe if I try my very best to live a good life, that maybe it will be a celebration, and that all of life and death, and just all of it, is just one big, massive celebration of who we are as human beings, our relationship with God, our communities, our friends, our family, and, life's just something wonderful that has to be celebrated at all times. And I think, knowing the Baha'i community of Scotland, I do get a real sense that they're a joyful community and that there's a lot of celebration and fun and joy in our community life. And so I'm also really thankful for that. So that's a kind of a convoluted way of looking at celebration, but there you go.